Eric Burgess here with Music Marketing TV, and today I want to show you one of my favorite things to throw on top of a bass. It is Beatformer. So when you think of Beatformer, you're probably thinking of drum processing. I love to use it for drum processing. In fact, I'm using it here for drum processing, but it's also fantastic to throw on top of a bass sound. So I already had this neuro bass sort of going, and there are two things I like to automate on it. Those are the punch and the squash. So essentially it controls the amount of transient that we get throughout this sound. So this is really useful for drums, but also for certain bass sound designs. It could be incredibly helpful. So if I were to let me just play for you the bass sound as it normally sits, which I think is already sounding really cool. So I have this bass going on, and there are moments that I want to vary it. I want it to be sort of bass heavy and boomy and let other sounds sort of come through the top end. And then I want other moments to be really percussive and short. And so I automate these two as a means to do that. And you can see the two in red here are the ones that we're looking at specifically. And you can see right here, we have some motion where the punch drops significantly right here. So just check out what I can do to a sound like this. So, okay, that gives you both sides of sort of the extreme ways you can use this, which is what I really like to push. I've got this sound, I'm using it a bunch. I'd like the listener to hear all the cool ways this sound can sound. And so I drop the punch significantly and then I boost it significantly right here. And this provides just this awesome contrast. Where over here, we've got these really short percussive. And then over here, you know, we've got the boomy long end of the sound instead. And if I were to do this like all the time, it wouldn't really work out. I don't think it would be as cool. This is really more like ear candy stuff. Like you toss it in there after you've got a sound that they've already heard and they're looking for something more. You know, what else can you do with this sound? And this is one thing you can do. And creating these kinds of moments is some of my favorite things. And Beatformer has just been awesome as a way to do that. If we come over here, there's actually a few more instances where stuff like this is going on. You can see right here, I am messing with the squash and the punch. So punch comes way down, squash comes way down, then it comes up, and you know, there's all these crazy shapes. A lot of this was picked after a lot of experimentation, seeing what would work, what the sounds I already had going on at the moment. But check out the bass sound at this moment. So right here too, I have an extremely low note. And so this just serves to sort of enhance what's going on right there. If I take these off, it's still cool. It's still interesting. It's just, it's not the next level up. Like there's a lot more I can get out of it. And the way I choose to do that is through Beatformer in this particular case. You can hear things moving around suddenly in the stereo field because of what's going on here. It's a really cool effect. And then there's a bunch more sort of subtle moments right here, right? We have the sustain down in the punch way up. And then a return to where we came from to settle back into the outro of the song. I have another example real quick. Let's go ahead and take a look at that track. All right, so in this track, I've got this electro bass line. It sounds like this. And then I already have moments that bring in extra excitement that I've covered in another video here. For example, this filter move brings in a layer. so I've already got two sounds that form something that's really cool. So I really don't want to add too much or take away too much from it because I think it's already really nice as it is. So the next thing I like to try out, typically with something like this, is a Beatformer. So I've got Beatformer on. Again, same two knobs, punch and squash. And here I raise them both together to create a riser kind of a moment. So instead of adding in a whole bunch of new parts, I just make the sound itself do something musical instead, which is going to be a lot more integrated sounding, is I guess how I'd say it. And so it rises up and then they drop back to their original level. And this really creates a great sense of rise because it's also combined with that previous filter movement. And there's also a Maximus being mixed in as well. So there's a lot of things that sort of come up to make this moment huge. So check it out. And then at this point, the Maximus has been mixed in, but these two, like, let me remove them so you can hear sort of the difference. It's still big and like, oh, that's great, but it's definitely missing like that sense of excitement we had before. Over here, you know, let's just one more time. So this can really be used to really enhance things in particular moments. These aren't things if you've noticed that I keep on 100% of the time. I might leave them on for a while. Like for example, here we have another big rise with the punch. The sustained ones in this particular example, because this sound does have, while it does have transients, it's much more sustained in this sort of a sound. So the sustains tend to have a bigger impact on the sound. For example, if we just play this little section right here. So I use these kind of like a musician would use a crescendo. If you play a wind instrument and you're used to, you know, bringing the musical line in and out and forming the volume with the shape of the melody or the part that you're playing. I very much use Beatformer in this kind of a way. And it really just helps naturally bring out things that the sound already has in it. And it's going to vary on the musical line that you're doing. And you're not going to have it everywhere, at least not usually. You're going to bring it into those special moments that you want to bring up some excitement in the listener. So this is a great way I love to use Beatformer. I have it on drums all the time as well. It's fantastic for that. And I would highly encourage you to, instead of seeing it as something that just sort of sits still, see it as something that you can bring in and out, kind of like a fader move. If you have any questions about this, feel free to let me know. Subscribe and hit that bell icon for future videos. And have a blessed day.